Five Nights at Freddy's, the horror video game phenomenon that exploded onto the scene in 2014 and has been a major part of gaming culture ever since. With 7 main games as of recording, and another coming in 2021, 5 spin-off games, 14 books, talks of a movie in the works, and a staggering number of YouTube videos. It consumed the lives of creators such as MatPat and Markiplier, and has given birth to an endless stream of fan works, such as fan-made games, fanfiction, fan art, and cosplays. But what was it about this game that caused such a cultural explosion? The first Five Nights at Freddy's game is a relatively simple concept. You are a new security guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, a popular children's pizza restaurant. Throughout your shift, you are in a room, alone, and you are unable to move. You receive a phone call describing your tasks for the day. The only things you can do is check the cameras, turn on the lights, and close the doors. And all you need to do is survive until 6 AM. Sounds easy, right? Well, it would be easy, if it wasn't for the deadly animatronics that roam the restaurant. You are warned that if these animatronics are to find you in the restaurant at night, they will mistake you for an animatronic outside of its suit, and will attempt to stuff you back into one of the suits. Which would be fine, if it wasn't for the electrical components of the suits, which would shred you apart as the animatronics forced you inside. So your job is to keep an eye on the cameras so you know where the animatronics are, close the doors if they arrive, turn on the lights to check if they are still outside your door, which just so happens to be a blind spot on the cameras, and don't get caught. But all of these actions use power, and if you run out of power, well, then you have no defense, and the animatronics will find you. It's a terrifying concept for anybody to experience, whether or not you have a pre-existing fear of animatronics. But why is it so terrifying? Why did Scott Cawthon decide to make a game based on these seemingly innocuous children's entertainment robots in the first place? Welcome to the Scare Lab. My name is Dr. Anastasia, and I would like to introduce you to my lab assistant for today, Silverthreads. Please take a look at their channel and subscribe for some top-notch horror story narration. Over to you, Silverthreads.
Hello, everyone. I'm looking forward to delving deeper into what you humans truly fear. As a spider who's taken over this human host for the last little while, I haven't had much time to explore such things. Usually by the time I manage to get the human unstuck from my webs, their head mysteriously falls off, and I'm not one to waste food. You creatures are so fragile. Anyways, in today's experiment, we will not be fully exploring the vast lore behind the game. MatPat has that covered. Instead, we will look at why the games were created in the first place. What makes Five Nights at Freddy's scary? As previously stated, we will not be doing any deep dives into the timeline or lore of the games. If you want that, please look in the description for the large playlist of game theory videos on that topic. Instead, we will take a look at the basics of the backstory, the surface level events that led up to the first game, and why this is such a bone-chilling experience. According to various clues found throughout the games, in an unspecified year prior to the hiring of the player, 5 children went missing in the restaurant. It is suspected that the children were lured into another room by somebody wearing a costume resembling one of the Freddy Fazbear animatronics and were either kidnapped or murdered. It is unknown what became of the children after this event, whether they had been truly kidnapped or where their bodies may have gone. However, after some parents complained of a foul stench coming from the animatronics and described what appeared to be blood and mucus leaking from them, a popular fan theory is that the bodies were stuffed into the suits. As well as this, the animatronics are only allowed to roam the restaurant at night and are confined to the stage during the day. According to Phone Guy, this is a direct result of an incident referred to as the Bite of 87. While it is unknown what actually occurred on this date, the only information given by the Phone Guy is that a victim suffered from a loss of the frontal lobe of his brain.
They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too, but then there was the Bite of 87, Yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe.
Due to these incidents, the restaurant is set to close. This information being displayed throughout the first game directly sets up the danger to the player. We have an unnatural fear of being present in places where horrific incidents have taken place. This is why houses where murders or other untimely demises have occurred typically sell for cheaper on the market than a similar house in the same neighborhood. It is almost as if we fear that the incident may have left an aura in the location. Take, for example, the Curse on the Ju-On franchise of films. According to Ju-On the Grudge, the curse in question is a curse born of a grudge held by someone who dies in the grip of anger. It gathers in the places frequented by that person in life, working its spell on those who come into contact with it, and thus creating itself anew. Basically, if someone suffers a horrifying death, the place where they died will be cursed, and all those who enter the place are fated to die. This idea seems to have been born from the discomfort we feel residing in a place where somebody else has lost their life. For this reason, you are automatically uncomfortable within the pizzeria, knowing that 5 children may have lost their lives here, and the idea that their bodies may even be inside the animatronics you are trapped here with is quite disturbing to you humans. In the later nights of the game, the animatronics also seem to behave supernaturally, with their bodies glitching out and Freddy himself looking directly into the camera. Could they be haunted by the ghosts of the victims? On top of all this, knowing that the animatronics may have attacked somebody? Well, now you have another reason to keep them away from you. They are clearly malfunctioning in some way and pose a very real threat to the player beyond simply mistaking you for an unsuited animatronic. This badly paying side job that was only supposed to last for one short week may very well lead to your demise. Whether this is at the hands of malfunctioning animatronics or the vengeful spirits of innocent children whose lives were taken in the restaurant is unclear, but you know for sure that if the animatronics find you, it is quite literally game over.
If you have seen my Doki Doki Literature Club video, you know that I did a deep dive into artificial intelligence, as well as the creation of automatons in history, religion, and literature. What I didn't dive into is the more common concept of an automaton or an animatronic figure, programmed for a specific purpose and lacking the intelligence to deviate from that task. The animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's theoretically fall into the latter category. They are programmed to perform on the stage while the restaurant is open, and that should be their only function. That they are able to deviate from that function is what makes the game terrifying, as well as not initially knowing why this happens. Sure, Phone Guy says they are left in free roaming mode at night, but that doesn't really make sense, does it? Animatronics in the modern sense have a colourful history dating back to the 1400s, where clockmakers used mechanical characters to tell a story, to appear and disappear when a certain time was reached on the clock. According to Roborobotics.com, these became what we know as the cuckoo clock in the 1700s, but full-sized animatronics as we know them now were pioneered by none other than Walt Disney, who observed this technology and saw a way to attract visitors to his parks. The Enchanted Tiki Room, which now functions as an animatronic show, was originally conceptualized as a restaurant where the animatronic characters would provide entertainment throughout the meal. This paved the way for restaurants like Chuck E. Cheese, a popular American family restaurant famous for its animatronic character performances, although these have now been phased out in favour of staff in suits. The issue with animatronics is that they are prone to breaking down and are, as such, unreliable. While the original idea of animatronics is that they provide consistency and a set schedule that they have no need to deviate from, if they break down or malfunction in any way, the show is cancelled. So why are we so scared of these animatronic entertainers? Well, for a start, look at them. The classic Chuck E. Cheese animatronics, for example, couldn't be described as anything other than creepy. But let's look at it a little more objectively. Believe it or not, there is actually a name for this: automatonophobia, the fear of human-like figures, dummies, animatronics and mannequins, and similar items. According to verywellmind.com, the fear could stem from the mistrust of people whose emotions we are unable to read. people who we perceive as blank. If we cannot tell a person's intentions or emotions, we are unable to predict what they are going to do, and this frightens us. It could also be said that a fear of automatons is due to what is known as the uncanny valley, a term coined by a professor at the Tokyo Institute of Technology, Masahiro Mori. According to the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, Mori coined the term uncanny valley to describe his observation that as robots appear more human-like, they become more appealing, but only to a certain point. Upon reaching the uncanny valley, our affinity descends into a feeling of strangeness, a sense of unease, and a tendency to be scared or freaked out. So the uncanny valley can be defined as people's negative reaction to certain lifelike robots. This concept applies to plenty of other media, such as the synths in Fallout 4 and the mecha in Steven Spielberg's AI. While it could be argued that this should not apply to the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics, as they are not designed to look like humans, they aren't exactly designed to look like realistic animals either. They are designed to look like humans inside mascot suits, so the uncanny valley and automatonophobia could still apply, although it could also be a form of masklophobia, which is a fear of people in masks, costumed clothing, and mascots. Combine automatonophobia with masklophobia, and you have the perfect reasoning for why we find the Freddy Fazbear animatronics so terrifying. While these phobias may play a part in it, the main reason we are afraid of these animatronics is their programming. According to the phone guy, if they catch you, they will mistake you for a figure outside of its costume and attempt to jam you inside a suit. They are not programmed in such a way that they can be reasoned with. You are unable to convince them that you are a human being and not a character. Deep down, we may be afraid of people or beings that we are unable to reason with, that we cannot convince of our true nature. You know that as soon as the animatronic catches you, there is nothing you can do about it.
The initial gameplay of the game is extremely simplistic. Your only controls are to pan left and right, push buttons to close the doors or turn on the lights, and scroll over the arrows at the bottom of the screen to view the cameras. There is nothing else you are able to do. Unlike most horror games, you are unable to move. You do not have a weapon of any kind. You are confined to this room with only the closing of the doors to defend you. The main element of the gameplay that causes the player to feel extremely uncomfortable is the feeling of powerlessness. The game has a nasty habit of lulling you into a false sense of security. In the first night, the animatronics aren't very active at all, causing you to believe that this may be easier than you thought. However, the animatronics slowly become more and more erratic and unpredictable in their movements, and new elements are brought into play to keep you guessing. As well as this, the only thing that keeps you safe makes you completely unsafe. Closing the doors, using the camera, and turning on the lights all consume power. And as you know, if you run out of power, but if you don't do these things to conserve power, you leave yourself completely open and vulnerable. You have no way of knowing where the animatronics are. You have no way of defending yourself, and you will most definitely die. Most likely at the hands of Foxy or Freddy himself. As well as this, one of the more common causes of death in the game will be Bonnie or Chica entering the room where you are. When this happens, the doors stop working. This indicates your imminent demise, and you are left with two choices. Bring up the camera, only to drop it again and be immediately killed, or wait it out. Stop doing anything and see if you can survive. As we said earlier, you are just as likely to die this way. The game thrives on removing any sense of power from the player and causing you to feel helpless. Take, for example, Golden Freddy, the game-breaking supposed glitch that randomly appears that you can do nothing to prevent. No matter how perfectly you've been playing, the minute you see this crumpled, empty suit, you know your game is done. As well as this, the game's reliance on random number generation, or RNG, in the almost impossible 420 mode means that, realistically, you have no control over whether or not you succeed. Due to the erratic movements you need to do to stay on top of the extremely difficult animatronics, you are likely to use the vast majority of your power, and as such, in order to survive until 6, you need to hope that the odds are in your favor.
Freddy, please, I beg of you. I beg every fiber of your delicious fluffy body. Please let me have as much time as you can give me. Please take your sweet ass time. Okay, finish your long ass song.
Freddy's actions at the end here are completely random. The footsteps may be short or long, the song may be short or long, and once he turns the lights out, he may wait before attacking, or he may do it instantly. You have absolutely no control over the outcome. For a much deeper dive into the specifics of the gameplay and audio of this game, please see Rim DeCoster's fantastic exploration of the gameplay, as well as Scruffy's explanation of the audio. Both are linked in the description.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria is a family restaurant intended to entertain children and provide them with delicious pizza, more than likely on their birthday. It is presumably marketed as a safe space for children to have fun and enjoy the atmosphere of the restaurant. Children feel safe amongst the animatronics because the creations are programmed simply as entertainment. So what is there to be afraid of? In theory, nothing. And that, in part, is what makes the game so terrifying. A restaurant marketed at children doesn't seem to be the ideal place to set a horror video game, which is what makes it so unsettling. The idea that this animatronic that spends all day dancing and singing for kids has the capacity to harm you if it catches you is horrifying. But what if it was to malfunction around one of the children? Well, it's possible that the Bite of 87 gives the answer to that question, and that isn't a place you'd want to spend your 10th birthday. Horrifying events take on a whole new element of terror when they occur in places that would otherwise be happy and joyful. After all, this is why the rumour was born that technically nobody has ever died in a Disneyland resort. The rumour was that staff would wait until the body is away from the park before allowing a doctor to pronounce them as dead, thus ensuring that nobody has ever technically died on the premises. And while Snopes reports that this rumour is false, it is easy to understand why the public would be so quick to believe this. Nobody wants to believe that tragedy happens in places aimed at children, especially restaurants famous for their birthday parties. Within the context of the game, everything about the environment around you implies that the animatronics are friendly and that this is a happy and joyous place to be. The tables in the dining area are laid out ready for a party with party hats in every seat. The animatronics are the main draw for children wanting to celebrate here. They are friendly, happy animals with adorable names like Bonnie, Chica, Foxy and Freddy. The posters in your office feature their smiling faces, along with drawings done by the many children who have fallen in love with them. And yet here you are, scared of their every movement, feeling the fear setting more and more as they inch towards you. And when the lights go out, Freddy plays such a happy, uplifting song before he attacks. As Rim DeCoster points out in his fantastic video exploring the gameplay mechanics, this song conditions you to associate it with your imminent death. So then, when this song starts playing in the kitchen on the camera, your heart rate increases. Another element of this game that subverts your expectations is the entire concept of Foxy. This fox is the most chaotic element of the game, escaping his cove in seemingly random moments. In the case of the other animatronics, when they appear at your door you have a moment to close it and protect yourself. In the case of Foxy, if you see he is gone from his curtain, you only have seconds to spot him sprinting down the corridor and close the door before he pops his head in and your time is up. As well as that, while closing the door does use some of your power, Foxy's irritated banging on the door uses even more of your power, so it isn't enough to close it and wait for him to go away. His escape is completely detrimental to you. The game plays on your discomfort, showing you how the game works and then introducing more and more elements to push you out of your comfort zone. Freddy's laughter in the final nights indicate he is nearby, something the other animatronics haven't done. You are told closing the door makes you safe, but Freddy can sneak inside and attack you when you think you are at your safest. The cameras fail when the animatronics are moving around and you only see them move when they kill you, until you see Foxy sprinting down the corridor. Nothing you thought you knew about this game is true. And that is the most terrifying thing of all.
Five Nights at Freddy was an absolute phenomenon. And whether or not the game is to your taste, it's easy to see why it became so popular. It was an unusual concept for the time, utilizing characters that would typically be happy and child-friendly to create an extremely unnerving atmosphere. Not unlike the cave that I keep my human friends in before I devour them. I kid, of course. It's more like a closet, really.
While you may argue that the franchise has had too many iterations now, and while the initial impact of the first game has long since died out, at the time of release, the game was a fresh, new brand of horror, capturing the hearts of gamers, YouTubers, and even particularly brave children everywhere. And the various new releases continue to terrify those who remain dedicated. After all, surely the only thing more terrifying than playing a game where you are stuck in a room unable to move, waiting to be killed by animatronics, is doing it in VR. Thank you for joining me in the Scare Lab today, and thank you to my assistant Silverthreads for coming along on this journey. I will close the lab for now and let the new security guard take over. I'm sure he'll make it through the night. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, share with your friends, and I hope to see you for the next experiment. Please also remember to subscribe to Silverthreads and show him your support. Take care, and be safe out there.